Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this live, I am going to explain about the importance of learning RAG and moreover, I'll be giving answers about anything related to RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation. And if I'm not getting any questions in the meantime, I'll be just explaining about the RAG and maybe we can discuss about various resources for learning RAG. Okay, so that's key thing about this today's session. But as usual, as I specified earlier, I may be talking about other related things also. Okay, first let me share the screen. Okay, I'll be sharing the screen. I'm sharing entire screen. If anyone is watching this live, and if you like. If you face any audio issue or something, just let me know through the chat. Okay, and here I'm going to go through these slides about RAG. Okay, that I will be doing till I get any questions. If I am getting any specific questions, I will be just talking about the answering that question. Okay, and moreover, I would like to tell about other learning resources. Okay, and if you are interested to watch more tutorial videos, as I specified earlier in my previous live session, I'm running a free offer for my AA course. Okay, so you can, for more details, you can check the previous thing, or you can. I'm sharing the link there, right? You can use that link for freely accessing my AA course. Okay, so if you click that link, it will be showing like this. It is from my website rajamanikam.com. Okay, if you click that link shared on the chart, you will be seeing this page. Okay, here you can find more details about my AI course. It has more than 8 hours of tutorial videos, covering various topics. I have listed the videos titles. Here you can see that things, right? So it is starting from very beginning, and it is covering various advanced topics also. Okay, and moreover, apart from these videos, I have included a lot of AI related ebooks, my ebooks. Okay, you can freely download from this course. Okay, as of now, as I said, if you use this link, like it is loaded with 100% discount code free offer. Right now, this code is active. So whenever that code is active, you can freely access this course. Here it is showing price as zero, right? The discounted price is zero. So in that case, you have to just click this buy this button, and then you have to just give your email ID. That's it. Okay. So here you can find a lot of RAG related books and RAG tutorial videos. So a lot of things you can find. Okay. Apart from RAG, if you are very beginner, you can get some fundamental idea about AI. Okay, and you can get more details. Okay, that is what this AI course. Suppose if you are interested, just check that AI course. Okay, and like. Okay, let me just discuss about a RAG. Okay, and if there are any questions, we can just answer that question. And if you need any details about any specific topic, maybe we can discuss that also. Because already I did complete RAG tutorial live few weeks back. It will be running for 2 hours. Okay, I explained everything about the RAG. So I don't want to do it in a like a full-fledged manner in this okay, so already I included RAG tutorial videos in the AI course, which you can freely get at this moment. And moreover, as I said, if you go through my previous videos, you have to visit my site, my handle is QPT, right? Just to type QPT, and uh, check the live tab. Okay, there you can here live tab is there, right? And even the courses tab also will give a lot of tutorial videos, but right now I'm referring this live tab. Okay, and here if you go back, to like a few weeks back, you may find 2 hours like this one, drag explained simply. Okay, so here I explained that in a very detailed manner. So you may go through that. Okay, so I don't want to repeat things again and again. But I would like to have a healthy discussion. Suppose if someone is having a question, I'll be just happy to answer their questions instead of just explain the same thing and again, right? So in that case, it should be like visible to other people who are interested in learning RAG, right? So I would encourage everyone who is watching this live to share with your friends who may be interested in learning RAG. So right now there is a huge demand for learning RAG, right? So let me first tell the reason why people are interested in learning RAG, right? Retrieval augmented generation. So basically augmenting the generation with retrieval. I'll be explaining those things, and before doing that, let us discuss why there is a huge demand for learning RAG. Okay, so in that things, first of all, we should know about the LLM. What is LLM, right? So I hope most of the people will be knowing about the LLM, right? Large language models like GPT model, Gemini model, Claude model, right? Like a lot of models are there. They were trained with the huge amounts of data, and they are very powerful in giving answers for our questions and for doing brainstorming and creating content like articles, poem, and any kind of information, right? So in that perspective, they are really good, but they are not too good to be used in actual commercial applications. Okay, let us discuss details in detail in the upcoming slides. But what right now I'm highlighting is LLMs are good, but they are having shortcomings to block their usage in the commercial setup. So obviously the question will be: is there any technology to overcome that restrictions, right? So that is what RAG. So that is the reason why companies are looking for people who are having good RAG skills. Okay, so understanding the basics of RAG is very simple. Okay, so just by watching my videos or just attending this live session, you will be able to get some understanding about RAG. But that's not enough. Okay, so either you have to like deeply involved with those things that are required to make any RAG project successful, or maybe if you want me to personally guide you for completing any RAG project, you can contact me. I'll be guiding you based on hourly charges. Okay, let me tell about that in detail before going further about RAG. So here you can in any Google search, you can just search QPT blog. It will be showing my blog, blog.qualitypointech.com. Click that. Okay, and then click this one-on-one AA coaching, that link. Okay, so here you will be seeing the details about this one-on-one AA coaching. Okay, so I provided my contact details and other details about my plans for teaching AI. Okay, in that case, just to go through the details, and if you have any questions, you can contact me. I'm just sharing that blog post link, or if you are planning to check it later, my suggestion is just search. I just you followed me what I did, right? Just search for QPT blog on Google, and then click the link. Then click this one-on-one AI coaching. That will be loading this particular blog post where I provided all the details that are required to know about one-on-one AI coaching. Okay, even you can book your timing for just 1 hour alone. Okay, suppose if you want to check whether my way of teaching is suitable for you, you can just book 1 hour alone. That's okay. Okay, so let me check the audio quality before discussing further. Okay, so the audio quality is so okay. So let me continue the discussion. And okay, as I said, you can just book 1 hour also. And right now the charges are very low. If you are in India, I mean, if you are able to make the payment through UPI, in that case, you can just pay just 800 rupees per hour. But if you have to use PayPal for making payment, in case if you are in some other countries, that case you have to pay $12 per hour. It's a very very low price compared to other things, right? So apart from these things, directly getting students, I use third party sites like tutoring sites like Preplay. So you can find the link there, and you can see right there people will be charging like 50 $70 per hour, but I charge just $12 only. Okay, and you can, if you're new to my blog or channel, if you want to know about me personally or like more details, maybe you can check my LinkedIn link here. I provide a LinkedIn link, and as I said, even you can freely access my recorded EA course, which is provided with 8 hours of tutorial videos and 9 AI related ebooks, right? So, and moreover, suppose if you are not interested in getting the free course, even you can just click these links to watch my tutorial videos about various AI topics on my channel directly. Okay, you need not to give your email ID. Okay, or you can freely download some of my AI related books by clicking these links, and here you can check the feedback given by previous students, right? So it's really encouraging. Okay, so just to go through the details, do your own analysis, even just book 1 hour to test whether it's working out. Okay, and you can ask me to teach anything about AI, especially RAG and AI agents. Or if you are new, even if you are interested to get some guidance for running YouTube channel or getting getting to know about digital marketing or any kind of things. You can go through my experience. I already specified them in various places. Even I shared my experiences in my books. Even you can get one of my books for free. Just visit my site rajamanikam.com, and I just made my book, my experiences of on earning online for free. Just to click that, my experience of earning money online. Click that link. It is right now. It is free, zero, right? So you can click that. You can get more details. Okay. And suppose if you want to know about my books, actually I released a lot of books as of now in Amazon. You can find 45 books. Most of the books are related to learning AI, artificial intelligence, right? It is covering for beginners and as well as experts. Say for that, you have to just visit Amazon. Suppose if you are in India, visit Amazon.in. If you are in United States, visit Amazon.com. If you are in Canada, visit Amazon.ca, like that. Just visit your local Amazon and then search my name, Rajamanikam Anthony Muthu. Okay. So here, even here, I recently released a RAG FAQ book. So a lot of such books are there. So just a book, click any of my books. Okay, and then just if you're interested in buying this book, you can buy as Kindle, as audiobook or paperback. Okay, and if you're Kindle Unlimited member, you can freely read most of my books. So that things you can check. Click my name. Okay, and then like go through the details, like here, if you're familiar with the Amazon author page, here you can find the filters like right, Kindle Unlimited. If you want to see only the Kindle Unlimited books, you can click that. It will be showing all the books that are enrolled into KDP Select programs, so that Kindle Unlimited members can freely read that. So right now I checked that option. So all these books are enrolled into Kindle Unlimited. So you can freely read all of my books, all of these books. Okay, and most of them are, as I said, related to AI. Okay, NI10, ChatGPT, RAG, AI about digital marketing, how to use AI tools for learning English, AI for YouTubers, Python for absolute beginners, AI interview questions, AI context engineering, AI agents, AI tools for healthcare professionals. It's a start learning AI today, simple book for beginners. Okay, and AI tools guide and building AI agents with LangChain, AI FAQ, AI agents kit, and AI for absolute beginners, and AI tools for teachers. Okay, so like that, if you click see all books, you can find more books. Okay, And one thing is, though I put a lot of efforts to come up with these books, I extensively use ChatGPT, that kind of AI tools. Okay, if it is a restricting factor to you, just ignore these books. Otherwise, I would say that these books are really useful, very informative, especially for people who are interested in uh, switching their career towards AI related things. It definitely it's useful. As I said, there is a huge demand for learning RAG, right? The companies are looking for a way to manage the shortcomings of the LLMs, right? So that perspective, learning RAG is important. But as I specified earlier, like understanding the basic RAG pipeline may be very simple. If you closely or constantly watch my sessions, I already released a lot of free videos, webinars, ebooks, right? Or even if you have any question, maybe even here also we can discuss. But the key thing is like making that work according to your use case, right? It's a really challenging one. If you want me to work together with you for any of the projects, like if you need my guidance, maybe I may not be knowing the exact solutions for your use case because every use case is different. Okay, but based on my experience, I can guide you to proceed in a correct direction, right? At least it will help you to save a lot of time and token usage, right? And so basically, you'll be ending up with the saving cost, right? So that's a fundamental idea for one-on-one AI coaching. Okay, that's one part of AI coaching. Other part, beginners who may be looking for career in drag, they may be interested in passing the interviews, right? So for that purpose, they may be willing to learn drag. So for that kind of people are also contacting me. I'm just teaching them. And one common question is like, what should they learn from my teachings, right? So the answer is there is no standard answer. That's the answer. Because it is one-on-one coaching, right? So there is no need to have any standard syllabus, right? So I can dynamically change the teachings based on the experience and expectations and learning capability of the student, right? That's what I prefer. Though I dynamically do the things, most of the people ask me to deliver these things, whatever things I listed. A overview. These are the slide shows. Okay, overview, machine learning, deep learning, LangChain, AI agents, AI chatbots, NLP, computer vision, MCP, context engineering, RAG, right? Obviously. So these things. But apart from that, if you need any assistance, we can discuss. And moreover, some people may be already familiar with RAG. They may be interested in coming up with proper strategies for chunking and choosing a proper vector database, other things. In that case, also you can just contact me. Okay, so but I work based on pre-book offers. So, but you can just book 1 hour also. That's up to you. Okay, not only for teaching AI, you can book my time for getting consultancy about AI usage for your business or for getting guidance for completing very related projects. Not only AI, as I said, yeah, my high priority, current priority is towards AI, especially RAG and AI agents. But if someone is still interested in learning the basics of the IT, right? Especially web development, other things, and how to use AI tools for doing web development, and about digital marketing, how to use AI for doing digital marketing, running YouTube channel, or whatever. Based on my experience, I can guide them for doing that, especially doing small online business successfully. I may not be very successful in whatever things I attempted, but I learned a lot of lessons. So I have some understanding. Like if I start freshly, I can avoid a lot of things, and you need not make the same mistakes again. So in that perspective, if someone needs some guidance, we can discuss based on hourly charges. Okay, so that's one thing. But regarding the main thing about drag, as I said, it is um, augmenting the generation with the retrieval. Otherwise, combining the RAG is a hybrid system that combines retrieval based methods with generative methods. So, generative in the sense, it's basically LLMs, right? Generative AI, large language models. And we are going to combine that LLMs with the retrieval. Retrieval is nothing but the search, right? Searching the knowledge source based on the keywords. So we have to combine both things to get the benefits of both of the approaches. Okay, and so okay, that's a fundamental idea behind drag. So this is very important slide to understand the importance of RAG. Okay, so we know that companies are looking for a RAG, right? So there is some importance in using RAG, right? So in that case, the first step we should know that, right? We have to know the importance of RAG. But before or for understanding the importance of RAG, it is very important to know the problems with current LLMs, right? So currently, LLMs are everywhere. People are interestingly using them, like through ChatGPT, Gemini, DeepSeek, Q1, Claude. A lot of such LLMs are there, right? Copilot. But in that case, though the LLMs are powerful, I already told, like companies are looking for a way to handle their shortcomings. Okay, so we have to know the shortcomings of the LLMs or problems with the LLMs. Here I listed three things, right? One is limited knowledge cutoff. Another one is hallucinations, that is generating incorrect or nonsensical information. And the third one is lack of private information, correct? So let me explain one by one. So first one, limited knowledge cutoff, right? In case of limited knowledge cutoff, that LLMs, any LLM, whether it is GPT of like 3 or whatever version, okay, if you take any GPT version or Gemini version, Gemma version, every model has its own limited knowledge, like knowledge cutoff date. Okay, that's what is limited knowledge cutoff. Okay, let us just open ChatGPT, and we can ask ChatGPT about its knowledge cutoff date, right? I will just ask ChatGPT about its knowledge data. So here I want to clarify one key thing. Like normally, people whenever we are telling about LM or AI models, they are thinking that like ChatGPT.com, right? It's ChatGPT. It is LLM. It is true that internally it is using LLM, but it's not entirely LLM. It's a full-fledged AI application developed around LLM. So it has a lot of other things. So we have to keep in mind that also. So with that, we can ask what is your knowledge cutoff? Okay, no, LEDG knowledge cutoff date. Okay, so here my college knowledge cutoff is August 2025. That was the answer, right? So, like around many years back, that knowledge training data, that cutoff happened, right? So that means like the events that happened after August 2025, they will not be that information will not be available in the this GPT model, right? That's the fundamental idea. But suppose if you ask tell about today's news, it will be able to tell the news, right? That is another thing. Okay, so that also some common confusion among various things. Okay, let me check that. Okay, so here it is saying August 2025 as knowledge cutoff, but here we can ask tell about today's news, right? Tell today's news. So in that case, I'm just asking tell today's news. That means uh, like April 8th, right? So it's able to tell that news, even it's just read the April 8th, 2026. Okay. and it's saying the global news, business news, all are the latest news, right? So in that case, there is some conflict, right? So here it is saying that my knowledge cutoff is August 2025, but it's able to tell the latest today's news, right? So that is what I explained previously. We have to differentiate between the entire AI application like ChatGPT.com with their model GPT-5 or whatever GPT model internally they are using, right? So in that case, like um, there is a difference between model and AI application, right? But in case of AI development, we will be provided with LLM, right? We have to start using the models to build our application. So in that perspective, we have to think in that perspective only. So basically, that LLMs are limited with the latest information. They cannot handle the latest information. Okay, so here, as I specified here, the one key problem is limited knowledge cutoff. They cannot handle the latest information. Okay, but if you are planning to run a chatbot for giving customer support for your e-commerce site, you will be expecting that system to give the latest information, right? If it is giving outdated information, the customers may not be happy, right? And there may be some confusion and conflict. So in that case, there's knowledge cutoff date plays important role. Okay, but for other purposes like hobby, other things, it may be tolerable. But for business purpose, it's very important. And moreover, next thing is hallucinations. Hallucinations, AI hallucinations, they are also a very important problem. I hope everyone should be knowing about that. Suppose if you are asking any questions to the AI tools like ChatGPT, sometimes they will be giving irrelevant reply, right? So mostly who are heavily using AI tools should be experiencing that kind of things, right? Uh, so that AI models, LLMs are subject to hallucinations. Okay, that also it's bit different from like other things. Like in a case of traditional programming, it is common to see error message, right? But that is different from this hallucination. In case of traditional programming, if something is not handled within our logic, we'll be getting error. Suppose if that error handling is done properly, then we will be getting error message. Otherwise, maybe some system error message will be thrown, right? At least we will be knowing that something is going wrongly. So in that thing, we will not be using that system for that particular scenario, right? So suppose if it is happening only when you are doing some 100 activities, if it is happening only for one activities, okay, you will be continuing with the other 99 activities, nothing harmful here, right? But in case of hallucinations, if you are asking AI to like ChatGPT 100 questions, assume that 99 questions are provided correctly, that answers were provided correctly, but only one question answer is wrong. In that case, we don't know which answer is wrong, right? Though there is only one wrong answer, we don't know which one is wrong, right? So in that case, we cannot really believe any of that answer, right? So that's a major problem, especially in case of commercial usage and very specifically medical and finance setup. That hallucinations are very much a big issue, right? But it's not like completely like solvable thing, because the inherent nature of LLM is designed in that way only. Okay, so if you know the fundamental of AI, we know that AI is it's purely based on probability, right? Especially in case of LLM, it is working based on predicting next token. That, right? It is not cognitive. We know that. As of now, any AI model is not cognitive. Even if you take the very latest one, they are not cognitive. That means they won't understand your questions, but somehow it will be able to give the answer that somehow is generate like predicting next token. Suppose if you ask question like what is the capital of India, that will be like split into tokens. Assume that if it is like split into 7 tokens, that design of the LLM is to predict the next token, eighth token. That is the fundamental idea, and that eighth token will be like that will be created or generated based on the selection. So first it will be coming up with list of probable items. Say for example, if the question is what is the capital of India, then maybe it may be coming up with answers like probable answers like um, uh, New Delhi, Chennai, New York, Washington, like that, right? So that maybe the probability of New Delhi may be high. That's understandable. But that the fundamental idea is it won't directly get the answer. It will be choosing the probability list, and it will be choosing the highly probable item, right? That's how it is working. We cannot say that not always highly. There are other concepts like temperature. So in case of if you set very low temperature, then maybe if, it will be expecting factual answers, right? So it will be taking highest probability. But in case of high temperature, it means you are expecting creative answers. So you are not expecting the same answer again and again. So in that case, it should be creative. So in that case, it may consider other probability scores also. May not be always considering the highest one. That is completely different concept. But the fundamental idea is in case of LLM, if you are giving question prompt to the LLM, it will be generating the answer by predicting the next token. That is the fundamental idea. So for predicting the next token, first it will be coming up with the list of probable items, then it will choose the appropriate one. Okay, so it is generative. That's the generation, right? That's the fundamental idea behind generative model. That's how, or that is how we are like we are able to generate new content, new stories, new articles, new blog posts, whatever information, right? So the inherent nature of LLM is generating the content. It's not cognitive, so it will always generate the content irrespective of whether the information is available with this trained data. Take our same example, like if you're asking a question like what is the capital of India, I assume that that LLM is not trained with the data New Delhi. In that case, it will be still coming up with the probable items, right? Even if it is not having the direct answer for that question, it will be still generating the answer. For that, it will be first preparing the a list of items with probability score. So in that case, obviously, that New Delhi won't be there in that list, and still it will be having other items like Chennai, New York, Washington, whatever it is, right? Maybe the probability score may be low for all that things, but still among that it will be choosing one highest one, right? So say for example, it is choosing Chennai if it is provided with 2% probability score, and it has to choose Chennai. So the question is, what is the capital of India? The answer will be Chennai. Instead of I don't know the answer, it is just generating the answer. That's fundamental thing. So this is how hallucination occurs. Okay, if that LLM is not having enough data, trained data relevant to the question for answering the question, instead of saying that I don't have the answer, it will be generating the answer with its existing trained data. Okay, so mostly it is very difficult to some of them are very obvious, some of them are like seamlessly they it will be giving irrelevant things, right? So in that case, I mean incorrect things seamlessly it will be it's not obviously irrelevant. Okay, so in that case it's a highly risky, right? So if it is giving error message, then it's okay. In case of traditional programming, we can get some error message, and that's okay. But okay, so but in case of AI LLM models like LLMs, the hallucinations will occur because of this inherent nature. Okay, so it's not avoidable, right? But somehow we can manage. Okay, that I will explain. Okay. Okay, first to understand the RAG, as I said, first we need to understand the problems with LLMs, right? So as I said, The first one is limited knowledge cutoff. Second one is hallucination. I already explained that, right? So the next one is a lack of private information. So again, that LLMs were trained with publicly available data, right? They won't be having any specific information about your customers or your project or your clients, right? So in that perspective, though LLMs are really good in managing a natural language and it may be having a lot of good features, but if it is not able to access your company information or your product information, if you create chatbot with LLM, obviously it may not be that much useful to the users, right? So suppose if you are running customer chatbot for your e-commerce site, if the customer is asking about your product price and other details, if it is not able to access that information, then there is no use of having such chatbots, right? So, as explained, there are certain shortcomings with LLMs, and these are few items one is limited knowledge cutoff, and another one is hallucinations and lack of private information. These are three things, but if you closely monitor or do some deep analysis, you can understand that there is only one problem behind all these things, right? In case of first one, limited knowledge cutoff, so it's lack of latest information, so ultimately lack of data. So next one is hallucinations. So as I explained, hallucinations occur only when the relevant data is not available with the trained data for the specified question, right? So it's again end of the day, it is lack of data, similar to first one. So third one also lack of private information. Obviously, it's lack of data, right? So LLMs are not having private information data. So all these three things are ending up with only one problem, that is lack of data. Okay, so you're asking some question. That question for generating answer for that question, LLM is not having enough data. So it's a big problem. Okay, so LLMs will not be useful. Okay. So there may be some approaches like fine tuning, but they will be very costly and they cannot deal a lot of data. A lot of things are there. But RAG is a very, very simple solution, very powerful. And um let us see, okay, how RAG is working, other things. But before going into that level, first of all, we need to know the shortcoming of the LLM. I hope I made it clear, right? So because and even we discussed about that common reason for that things. So as per our discussion, lack of data is the huge problem related to LLM. Okay, so because of that, hallucination is occurring, and we were not able to use that for handling latest information as well as private information, right? So in that case, RAG is a good solution to deal with that problems. And with that RAG, we will be able to access the latest information. We can access private information. I mean, we in the sense our LLM applications. Okay, and moreover, it is able to deal with the private information, and hallucinations will be avoided. Okay, so that means grounding will happen. Okay, and the answers will be grounded based on the data. Okay. Okay, so here now I hope it is clear. LLMs are powerful, but they lack something. Um, okay, so these are the things as I discussed: limited knowledge cutoff, hallucinations, and lack of private information. If you deeply go through all the things, fundamentally it will be a lack of data. So we have to simply solve that thing. Okay, RAG is solving that. Let us see how the RAG is solving. Okay, so before going to explain those things, let us just discuss about a simple RAG workflow. Okay, so first user will be asking question, input query, and as we discussed, the RAG is the combination of retrieval and generation, right? So next thing is the model retrieves, I mean the system retrieves, retriever retrieves relevant documents from a knowledge source based on the user query, obviously, and then generation. So based on that content, it will be generating the answer. Okay. Okay, so this is a simple flow, but we can discuss the things in a detailed way from this diagram. So as I said, first In case of RAG, so before discussing further, I would like to know whether this is showing the screen. If anyone is watching, just let me know. Because during my previous live session, that the presentation was not showing. So in that case, anyone watching this live, just confirm. Or suppose if you are not seeing that screen, or if there is any problem with the audio, just to let me know. Okay. So as of now, I am not seeing any problem. Let us continue the discussion. Okay. Okay. This is the very basic rack pipeline. Okay. So as per our previous discussion, there is a need to manage the shortcomings of LLM, right? So, but obviously LLMs are powerful. So there is no question. So they were trained with a lot of data, and they are performing in a high, performance speed. Everything is really good. Okay, and they can easily process the natural language. Okay, we can ask questions in any form, right? And a lot of things. So most of the things, I hope everyone should be aware of that things. Okay, but we are not able to use that kind of LLM for business purposes, right? So like there are a lot of business opportunities with AI applications, especially LLMs, right? But because of these shortcomings, we were not able to use that. Okay, so that is a huge gap, right? Business opportunity there. That is where RAG is coming. Okay, so as per our previous discussion, all that problems are ending with one single line, right? So lack of data. Okay, that is the problem. So in that case, we can just feed the data along with the uh, uh, user query to the LLM. That is the fundamental idea behind RAG. Let me explain with the same example. I was talking about a question like, what is the capital of India? And we were telling that that model is not having that information about New Delhi, right? So in that case, I said it will be taking other city name which is provided with high probability score, right? So for example, Chennai. So obviously that will be wrong answer, right? For the question, what is the capital of India? The answer will be shown as Chennai, which is incorrect. Okay, so it is this kind of hallucination is occurring because that model is not trained with the New Delhi, that information, right? So here to solve this is basically lack of data, right? So to solve this problem, assume that you are sending the prompt. Okay, in the prompt itself, you are saying that the question is what is the capital of India, and in the prompt, okay, other than that question, assume that you are attaching a document containing that list of countries and their corresponding their capital. Okay, so in that case, if you send that information to the LLM, now obviously LLM will be able to give that answer, right? So here, that corresponding or that appropriate answer, that content is not available to LLM. To manage that, we can send the answer containing content itself to the LLM while sending the question, right? So that is the augmentation, right? So that is, we are augmenting the generation process by including the that content, retrieve content. But here just content. Let us discuss about why we have to do the retrieval next step. Okay, so the fundamental idea is now clear, right? So LLMs are powerful, but they lack they are having some shortcomings. Obviously that shortcomings are because of lack of data. So to handle that, what I'm saying is, we can just send the data along with the query to the LLM. So in that case, LLM will be useful. So you can easily test that. Like, say, for example, within the chat GPT itself, just to go to chat GPT. Okay, then just attach one document about your private information or whatever information, your resume or something, right? You can attach, and then you can ask questions. So obviously, it will be giving answer. Okay, this is not a complete drag. Just I'm telling one solution, right? So like, it is able to help solve your problem. So you are not able to uh, like uh, ask questions about your private information, something. So in that case, you can just send the document containing that information along with your user query. So in that case, it will be like answering your question, right? So that is the very fundamental idea. But here we have to check why the retriever is coming, right? So in case of any private things, everything, I'm saying that you can attach the document here, you can ask question, okay. So theoretically it's okay, but practically the real problem is all the LLMs are provided with knowledge cutoff, okay. So here, if you ask what is your knowledge cutoff date, like I already asked, right? That is one thing. And similarly, similar to knowledge cutoff, all the LLMs are provided with a context window limit, okay. Let me ask what is your context window limit. Okay. So though the LLMs are powerful, they cannot process more information. They are having limitations. Okay. So for example, ChatGPT's model has context window limit is 200K tokens. Okay. That will be around 100, 200 pages. Okay. So they cannot process more than that number of pages. That's the problem. But some new models like Gemini models are coming up with millions of tokens, but that is different topic. Some people are saying that RAG is dead because of that improvements, but still that RAG will be there, even though they are coming up with millions of tokens. That we can discuss later once we are familiar with the fundamental idea, right? So fundamentally, let us progress step by step. We have gone through the need for some system to manage the shortcomings of the LLMs, right? So that is where RAG is coming. So for that, we decided that like a lack of data is the problem, source of the problem. So if we solve the lack of data, then that shortcomings of LLMs will be solved. Okay. So to solve that lack of data, we have decided to provide the data along with the query. Up to that, it's okay. But next, the problem is coming like the token limit, right? That context window limit. So we cannot upload a lot of information. In practical applications, we may need to refer a lot of pages, right? Even in some projects, it is like millions of pages. Okay. So in that case, obviously, we cannot use uh, this approach, right? So that is where that retrieval process is coming. So instead of sending our entire document, because it's difficult to send it, it is inefficient because of the context window limit of the LLM. What we are doing is we will be splitting that into multiple parts, and based on the user query, we will be retrieving the relevant chunks, and then we will be sending that only that relevant chunks to the LLM. That is the fundamental idea. So now we can understand what is the meaning of RAG, right? Retrieval augmented generation. We are going to augment the generation with retrieval process. So we got to choose the relevant chunks. That's where the retriever component is coming. Okay. So for beginners, it may be a bit confusing. Let me just explain that with a very simple analogy. Okay. So in that case, you can easily understand even if you are a very beginner. Okay. So just to think about examination, right? So in examinations, maybe as a student, we may need to study various books like science, history, geography, and like mathematics, right? And we'll be provided with exams or tests, right? In that test, we'll be seeing a lot of questions. Assume that you are provided with three questions. You know the answers for the first two questions. So based on your memory, like memory information stored in your brain, you'll be recollecting that information, and you'll be like framing the answer for the first two questions. You'll be writing that. Okay, that's okay. Up to this, okay. It is like LLM, right? So LLMs are trained with data. Similarly, your brain is stored with the information that based on that study you have done on previous day or so whatever day, right? So similarly, LLMs are trained with some data, so that based on the data, it will be answering. So it's a regular LLM kind of thing. Okay. So if the LLM will be regular LLM will be able to give the answers properly if it has that answer in that trained data. So similarly, if you have already study that information, it will be there in your brain. Okay. And you'll be able to write the answers. So in that exact scenario, like first two questions, you will be able to, for the first questions, you'll be able to write the correct answer, right? But assume that the third question, you haven't studied answer for that question. Okay. So in that case, you cannot write answer, right? But if you are forced to write some answer, obviously you'll be writing incorrect answer, right? So that is what hallucination. So you haven't studied that answer, so that information is not available in your brain. But in that case, your answer will be incorrect. Okay. So this is the like a comparison of regular test and regular LLM. So now it's clear, right? So similar to our examination writing, LLMs will be giving answer based on the trained data. Okay. Okay, now let us come to the open book test. Okay. In case of open book test, suppose if you are allowed to refer the books while writing the examination, in that case, for the first two questions, you have already studied the answer, so you'll be obviously writing the answer based on your memory information. And for the third question, as we discussed earlier, or assumed earlier, you haven't studied answer for that question. Okay, so you will not be able to write correct answer for that question. But you somehow know that that question is relevant to what kind of topic, right? So which book will be having that answer? Suppose if the question is related to mathematics, you will be just to since it's open book test, you will be just opening the mathematic books, maths book, and you'll be getting the answer and you'll be writing it, right? So that is the concept of retriever. So among the 4 5 books, different subject books, you will be choosing the appropriate subject book, right? That's what we have to do in the retrieval. Okay. And you have to send that information, like here in our case, we will be reading that book for finding answer, right? So similarly, we have to send that information to the LLM along with the question. So LLM will be giving the answer. So that will be the better analogy, and both things are exactly matching, right? So there are two things, right? So one thing is fundamentally we have to send the information, but because of that context window limit, that is one reason, but that's not the complete reason. Like even if you are like your content is fitting into the context window limit, it's not good idea to send all the information. There are two things. One is we had to unnecessarily pay a lot of money for the token usage, right? Mostly LLMs will be charging based on the number of tokens, input tokens and output tokens. So for that, we have to spend a lot of money in case if you are sending unnecessary information. Okay. uh, that is one thing. And another thing is the LLM performance will be good only when it is getting only the relevant information. So if noise information is not there, only it's getting quality relevant information, then that performance of LLM, the answer quality will be better. That also one thing. So because of that reasons, even if the context window is not a big problem, that's what I'm telling, right? Millions of tokens, the Gemini models or new models are handling millions of tokens. Okay, so in that case, a context window may not be the technical reason, may not be the that major restriction, but still we need RAG. That is why I'm telling that statements like RAG is dead are not relevant. Okay, they are not true. Okay, but because of that developments happening with the increasing window context window limit, that kind of discussions are arising. But still, RAG is very relevant because of its ability to save cost by avoiding noise and improving the performance of LLM uh, response, right? So in that case, still RAG is important, and in that case, we have to use RAG for various industries. Okay, okay. Almost if you take any industry, we can come up with some use cases for implementing RAG. Okay, and suppose if you are doing any kind of business, and if you want me to explore the opportunities for using RAG or any kind of AI applications, for improving your business growth. Let us discuss. Okay, as I said, apart from teaching RAG, I can implement RAG for your business, and maybe I can guide you. We can discuss. Okay, so just contact me, and as I said, I have provided all my contact details in this blog post. You can search QPT blog, okay, and then come to my blog, and here you can click one-on-one AI coaching. That will open this page. Here I provided my email ID, WhatsApp number, message. You have to message. You no need to make call, okay, and we can discuss. Maybe we can have a quick discussion through Google Meet, and if it is suitable, we can proceed by booking the hours. Okay, you need not book the hours initially itself. Okay, so any other questions you can ask me? Okay, so one person said that yes, serviceable. Thanks for your reply. Okay, so I will be continuing that. Okay. Okay, so as of now, we got discussed the analogy, right? What is first we discussed about shortcomings of LLMs, and then we discussed about uh, the a comparison of open book test with RAG, right? So now it is very clear, okay, in case of LLMs, that lack of data is the fundamental problem. So we are going to solve it by feeding that information, relevant information, along with the user query, okay. So that is the fundamental idea, okay. But because of the various reasons, including context window limit, first we have to split that knowledge source documents into multiple chunks, okay, and we have to choose the appropriate chunks and send that context chunks along with the user query to the LLM. That's what augmentation. So augmentation is nothing but including the query and the context chunks as prompt. Okay, but apart from that, in real thing, we have to include proper system prompt. In some use cases, we have to ask LLM to use only the context information to give the answer. In some cases, if the context information is not enough, we can allow it to use it trained data. Okay, that kind of instructions we have to frame in the system prompt. That's what actual augmentation. But fundamentally, it is like including the query and relevant chunks. That's the fundamental idea. So, so that's a simple process, right? So we have documents. We are going to split it into multiple chunks, and we are going to search that relevant chunks, and we will be sending that along with the user query to the LLM. Okay, but here we are seeing vector search, other things, embeddings, right? So normally, not only here, if you learn about anything about drag, in almost all cases, everyone will be telling about this. Uh, Vector search as part of RAG pipeline, right? So though it is not it's a very essential part of RAG, but almost we will be seeing that because it will be helping to increase the speed. Okay, so normally these RAG things will be applicable for mostly applied with the real-time chatbot, right? So here in that real time, if it is doing taking a lot of time to do the retrieval, in that case it will not be effective, right? So that vector search will be fast. Let me I will explain that in detail. So that's the reason why we have to use that. But fundamentally RAG is we have to split the document into multiple things, and we have to choose the appropriate chunks based on the user query, and then we have to use that appropriate relevant chunks for getting answer from the LLM. That is the fundamental idea. Okay. Um, okay. So here, as I said, to increase the speed, we are using vector search. Okay. So now let us see this basic pipeline. But again, this is a very basic pipeline. Okay. And in real thing, we have to use query re-ranker, query preprocessor, like re-ranker and the query preprocessor, like that kind of components that we can discuss. Okay. But here, let us just split into two things. The upper part is called as ingestion process, and this is chatbot or any kind of actual real-time process, right? In case of ingestion process, mostly it is one-time process unless there is a change in the documents. Okay, if there are no changes, then it's just one time process, and if there are any changes, we got to update that. Okay, I mean, do it again. Okay, so that documents, it can be anything. Okay, it can be PDF file, doc file, or an CSV or database, or even website content. But in case of website content, we have to do additional stuff of crawling, right? So basically, we have to keep the information in documents, and that documents should be split into multiple chunks. There are a lot of chunking strategies. Okay, that is entirely different topic. Maybe once after completing the basic workflow, we can discuss. Suppose if anyone is interested, maybe you can just check my blog. I put a lot of blog posts about that, especially this chunking strategy. You can get more details by visiting my blog. Here you can search, come to my blog, as I explained, QPT search, QPT blog, and then at the bottom you can see the search box. Here, actually, I added hundreds of blog posts about AI, especially RAG agents. You can just check that. Okay, you can read a lot of information here for getting the chunking strategies. So here you can search chunking, and you can find these chunking strategies for RAG, this blog post. But most of the blog posts I use extensively ChatGPT to write that, but I take care to review that and cross verify. Okay, and I use different prompts to get useful information. So these are the things. Okay, fixed size chunking, recursive chunking, documents chunking, semantic chunking, agentic chunking. So the splitting the document itself, it's not that much easy. But fundamentally, we can just split that documents into multiple chunks with a fixed size, right? 1,500 characters first chunk, next 1,500 next chunk, like that. But obviously, we can understand the problems in case of that straightforward splitting, right? So in that case, we got to we'll be obviously be missing some information, right? So a lot of things are there. Maybe we can discuss separately. Now let us focus more on the overall flow, right? So we have to prepare the knowledge source documents and then split into multiple chunks, and we have to convert each chunk into the embeddings. Okay, for that we have to use embedding models like Open AI's embedding model is there, and sentence transformer, Hugging Face. From Hugging Face, you can get that kind of embedding models. Okay, and once after converting into the embeddings, we have to store that embeddings into vector search. Okay, vector store, like a lot of vector databases are there: Pinecone, Chroma, Fires, and Quadrant, like Milvus. Actually, I put one blog post about that also. Maybe if you are interested in that, maybe you can search vector database here. Top 10 vector databases for RAG applications, right? So you can check this. Okay. So Pinecone, White, Milvus, Quadrant, Chroma, Fires. Some of them are managed or cloud vector database. For that, we have to use the API, and we may need to pay for that. But most of them are, like, a lot of things are there open source also, so we can freely use them if you are going to use it in your local. Okay, so but here there is, suppose I'm not sure everyone is relevant, related, or informative about this embedding. So it's a very very good concept. Okay, here in the documents, we will be having information, as I said, in a text format, right? Normally, we know that the search or any kind of computing related to the text will be uh, slow compared to the numeric processing, right? Numbers. If that data is in numbers, it will be processed quickly, right? So that's the fundamental idea behind this embedding. So we'll be converting that letters into numbers in array or matrix, right? That kind of thing. And in that case, uh, maybe just we can ask ChatGPT to give some embedding example, right? Maybe for beginners it may be useful. Suppose if you are not able to imagine what is, give some example embedding data. for vector store. Okay, but fundamentally it is like matrix, some kind of numbers like this, right? So here embedding will be like this. So in the vector database, you will be storing that information. This is a chunk, right? And it is the equivalent embeddings. If it is record, we can add a metadata also. Okay, so the embeddings will be like this, like matrix array. Okay, but the thing is that numbers are based on the um, meaning of that words. Okay, so a lot of complex things are there. Just I will give some overview how that numbers are arranged. Okay, so it will consider various things. The key thing is, semantic meaning, right? So that semantic meaning is that intent or that actual meaning of that word. Instead of just taking the literal keywords, it will be trying to understand the meaning. Okay, so that is possible because of this embedding, right? So it will be using that embedding, that algorithms and the embedding models to do that in an effective way, so that it can manage that semantic meaning. Say for example, if the document is having information about joy, even if the user asks question related to happiness, it will consider that joy also, that information containing that word joy. Okay, and that is like the actual meaning of the word, right? Not only that meaning, apart from that, even if the document is talking about uh, NYC, and if the user is asking question related to New York City, it can understand that it is referring to that NYC, and it will be able to consider that uh, chunk that is having that information about NYC, right? So it is like abbreviation. It will be able to understand the abbreviation, and not only that, it can consider other meanings. Say, for example, if the document is talking about Chennai, even if the user asks about Madras, it will be able to handle that properly. Okay, it will consider alternate names or older names. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to tell. That it will be handling semantic instead of keyword based meaning. It will be just trying to understand the actual meaning or the intent of that word. Okay, so based on that, the embeddings will be done. But it again, it depends on the embedding model also. If the embedding model is provided with enough knowledge about these things, it will be able to do that. If you are using very lightweight embedding model, maybe it can only consider dictionary meaning, other things. Okay, but the fundamental idea is, if you are provided with a good embedding model service, then it can understand all the semantic things. It can handle the semantic meaning. Okay, so that is one advantage. And moreover, as I said, since it is in a numeric format, it will be very fast. And moreover, that dimensions will be multiple dimensions. Okay, hundreds of dimensions. And that case, your vectors store also should be able to handle that. So that is one design criteria. So you have to choose the embedding model and vector database so that they can match. Okay, and that is one thing. But the fundamental idea is, we have to take the documents, split into multiple chunks, and convert each chunk into the embedding using the embedding model, and to store that chunks in the vector database. Okay, now we have done the ingestion process, right? So now is everything is that ingestion process is completed. Now we have the vector store provided with embedding. Here we showed, right? So it will be having that mapping of that chunk and the equivalent embedding. Okay, so metadata is additional thing, so that maybe we can discuss for later. Okay, so let me continue this discussion. Okay, so here we have stored that information in the vector store in the embedding format, and then the chart bot user will be asking question, right? So again, we have to do the embedding, because we are going to search against the document embeddings, right? So the search should be done with the same format, right? So in that case, we have to use the same embedding model to convert this user query into that query embedding, right? So that query embedding should be searched against the vector store, and we will be getting normally the concept is top k results. Okay, and then we can set the k as 3 or 4 or 5, whatever it is. Okay, that is various discussions about how to choose the k. Maybe we can discuss it later. Now we can focus more on the fundamental flow. So assume that you set the k as 3. Okay, so in that case, that vector search will be retrieving or returning the top 3 relevant chunks. Okay, in that case, like um, you will be getting 3 relevant chunks, right? That chunks will be appended with the user query, and then it will be sent to the LLM to get the answer. Now that suppose if the question is about India and the documents are talking about various countries, and suppose if it is split into multiple chunks, and after completing the search, it will be returning 3 chunks that are talking about India. One may be telling about India's population, one may be India's culture, one may be India's geography, right? Something, right? So in that case, it will like that. All these chunks will be sent along with the query, and the LLM will be able to create a beautiful paragraph about describing about the India based on that information. So yeah, I'm just telling an example. In case of India, even if you're not providing the context, it will be able to generate the answer based on the information, right? But if it is about your specific department of your company or whatever, something, right? So in that case, it will be able to generate the answer based on the provided context information. So the thing is, we have to get the relevant context information. Relevant in the sense relevant to the query. Okay, if the query is different, then it should if the query is about India, it should take the information about India. If the query is about Canada, you should take the information about Canada, right? So that is retrieval, right? So it should retrieve the relevant thing. Even in case as we discussed about open book analogies, here also if the question is about mathematics, it should take the information about mathematic things. Okay, so the same idea. Okay, so that is what retrieval. So we have to retrieve the relevant chunks based on the user query. So for that, first of all, as an ingestion process, we have to prepare with the vector store by doing the embedding of the document chunks. And then the chatbot time, in the real time, we have to get the user query and do the embedding, and then use that query embedding to search against the vector store to get the top k relevant information. So normally, whenever I say it will retrieve the relevant information, most of the people who are learning with me, obviously their question is how to deal with that embedding while sending that information to LLM, right? So we are not going to retrieve the embedding. Okay, so embedding is just for the purpose of doing the search faster. Okay, we will be picking up the relevant or associated or corresponding that text information only. Okay, so here, as we discussed earlier, in that we have noticed in the chat bar, here we noticed that it will be mapped, right? So text also there and embedding also there. So the search will be done with the help of embedding, and that returning will be done like associated text. Okay, based on the text value. Okay, so we'll be returning that text and as a context, and that will be sent to the LLM. Okay, we have to prepare proper system prompt. Okay, so this is the fundamental idea. Okay. So here a lot of things are there. K value, as I said, if you set very like very less K value, we may miss some relevant information. If we set more like a K equal to 12 something, some cases we may take unnecessary noise, irrelevant things also, right? So there are like a systematic RAG evaluation is there. Maybe we can discuss it next. Okay, so we have to do the proper RAG evaluation to handle that, and based on our evaluation metrics, and by understanding them properly, we can set appropriate K value. Not only K value, so we have to choose appropriate chunking strategy, and vector database. And even in the case of vector search, there are different approaches, cosine similarity, so that kind of approaches, common cosine similarity, Euclidean distance, or dot product. So in that case, we have to tweak that things to get good evaluation metrics. Okay, so that also some important part of the RAG, because understanding, as I said, understanding the basic RAG pipeline is simple, as well as implementation also simple. Suppose if you have some recommends, if you upload the document to Claude and just ask it to set up the RAG pipeline, it will automatically do that within few seconds, right? So that's not a big deal, but making it work properly according to your use cases, that needs a lot of analysis skills and understanding the pipeline properly, understand the RAG evaluation metrics clearly. And that case, it's like it's a somewhat challenging one. Even splitting the document itself, it's a challenging one. We have to look for various approaches. Okay, that's the real challenges there related to the RAG. That is the reason why we are seeing a lot of job opportunities related to RAG. Yeah, not only job opportunities, even in case of businesses, as I said, there is huge opportunity for implementing RAG. By implementing RAG, you can save a lot of time and money. Okay, for manually doing a lot of things. Okay, especially chatbot things. Okay, and even more, RAG is evolving in various things, right? As I said, it's a very simple pipeline, but in case of complex things, we can expand that pipeline with more things. Like you might be knowing about various things, right? One simple concept is re-ranker using cross encoding and query pre-processing, and even RAG also, graph RAG, self RAG, corrective RAG. A lot of concepts are coming up. Okay, so but there is no single solution for all kinds of problems, right? So based on our use cases, we have to explore more. But the fundamental idea will be same. So the fundamental idea is LLM lacks information. That's how that problems are occurring, like lack of latest information, hallucination, lack of private information. To handle that, we have to provide the record data along with the user query to the LLM. So that is the fundamental idea. As I said, you can just explore that, even with ChatGPT, you can just use with simple files. But the best thing is you can use Notebook LM. It's a very good example of RAG usage. Okay, so here, go to notebooklm.google.com. Okay, and then you can just upload some documents. Suppose if you're learning something, you can upload various, like if you click create new, it will be asking you to give the links of even you can upload files, you can copy and paste the text, and you can upload from drive, refer from drive, and you can drop the images, docs, audio, and you can give the website and YouTube links. Okay, and then you can ask questions. Okay, in that case, the answers will be based on the provided knowledge source information. Okay, it's not fully depending on the trained data of Gemini. Internally, it may be using Gemini, right? Okay, so in that case, it's grounding, and that we can visually check that grounding, right? So if it is giving some answers, it will be giving the notes. So that notes will be referring to the your knowledge source document. Okay, so it's kind of a complete research paper, right? So if you go through a research paper, if they are saying something, they'll be giving a reference, right? So same thing. So in that case, we can cross check its authenticity, right? So hallucinations will be avoided in that case. Okay, so it is very good idea to use for your personal projects, right? If you want to learn something, just include all your knowledge sources and then study from that. So not only charting, there are other things also there. Audio overviews, like video overview. That podcast, automatic podcast generation is a really good way. Even in my channel, I started uploading a lot of videos, but because of lack of views, I stopped doing that. Okay, but a lot of ideas you can get from here. Okay, it's kind of RAG application. So based on the RAG, nowadays a lot of companies are coming with the RAG as service also, so that anyone can easily use that. And moreover, companies like Amazon, AWS, the Amazon Web Services are providing Bedrock, that kind of services, which will make that job very easy. Okay, okay, and Okay, we can keep on talking about these things. Okay, but let me just talk about very simple variations like one simple examples. Like even if you search rack technique, one person has listed like a lot of rack techniques. Okay, these are, as I said, these are simple examples. So you keep on adding lot of things. So here, this person has put that in a GitHub. You can go through that. So here, lot of rag techniques. Okay, simple rag, agentic rag, basic rag, rag CSV files, reliable rag. So lot of things they listed, right? But as I said, it's not a complete list. So based on your use cases, you have to come up with your own way. But you can get some inspiration from these already established things. Okay. uh, I was telling that we may need to like include other components, right? As I said, it's a very basic rack pipeline. In that case, for example, you're setting up everything, and whenever you ask question, that retriever is not retrieving properly. It's retrieving irrelevant things sometimes. And that case, uh, there is a concept like re-ranking. Okay, so in that case, suppose if you are always taking top three results, and the top three results are not covering the relevant things, and as I said, you may be interested in increasing the k value, right? Assume that you set the k value 20. In that case, obviously, you can expect to include the relevant things, but apart from the relevant things, it will be including irrelevant things also. The noise will be increased. Okay, so to handle that problem, first, as we discussed, we can set a high value for the k. That's okay. So, for example, you can set k as 50, and it will be retrieving 50 results. And then you can send that 50 results for re-ranking. Okay. Then after doing the re-ranking, you can take the first three or four. Okay. So that re-ranking, that will be normally encoders will be used as re-ranking. The fundamental difference between cross encoders and this vector search is but as I said, vector search is not mandatory. Okay, then the rag, even you can use BM25, that kind of simple keyword based things also, but that is different topic. Okay, what I'm trying to say is like here in the vector search, we do the embedding for the documents one time, ingestion process. That is a separate process, right? So we do separately. The while doing that time, we don't know what will be the user's question, right? It's independent of user's question. But in case of cross encoder, after getting the user question, then with the help of user question and that each chunk, they will be combinedly use embedding. Okay, and then we will be doing the ranking based on that. Okay, score. That way it will be better, and obviously that ranks will be highly relevant. But the problem is we need to spend like a lot of time and yeah, token usage, right? Basically embedding token usage or thing. So we have to spend money for that, right? So and especially time, so we have to get that user query, then only we can start doing these things. Okay, so we had the user has to wait. Obviously it is time taking process to combine both things. It's not usable, right? So that is the reason why we have to combine both things. So as a rough selection, we have to use the vector search to uh, retrieve 20 50 items, and then we have to use the re-ranker only for that thing, so that obviously will be very faster, right? So we need not do it for millions of pages of the documents, right? So we have to just do it for limited that already pre-fetched things, right? And that case, it will be better. So the speed will be better, quality also better. So that's one approach. So likewise, we have to come up with different kinds of approaches to improve the quality of the rack pipeline, right? And moreover, that as I said, implementing rack pipeline is very simple, but doing cost analysis, other things, it involves a lot of cost, right? So here we have to do the embedding for the documents and for the query every time. So if the same question is again and again getting asked means, then that case we have to use some catch mechanism. But in case of this natural language that era, we cannot expect the people to use the same sentence, right? In case of keyword search, we can expect same kind of keywords repeatedly. But and now people will be asking questions in natural language, right? So in that case, we cannot expect them to use the same sentences, right? So in that case, we have to use semantic catching, that kind of approaches, right? So a lot of things are there that based on our use cases and based on our budget and based on our long-term plan, we have to plan those things. Okay, that's idea. But as I said, the fundamental idea is very very simple. Okay, so we have to just to split the documents and get the relevant chunks, and we have to pass that relevant chunks along with the user query to the LLM to get the response. That is the fundamental idea. Okay, so that will solve a lot of things, but we have to tune various things: embedding model, choosing selection of embedding model, selection of chunking size, or any kind of different chunking strategy, or like choosing the vector database, and choosing the search things, like even hybrid search is there. It will be considering both BM25 and vector search. Okay, and implementing query that like re-ranking using cross encoder. And sometimes we have to do the query pre-processing, and doing proper augmentation with the help of proper system prompt. Okay, so a lot of things are there, and maybe we can discuss them in separate session. Okay, I hope here I made it clear about the fundamental things, right? So the components, as we discussed, retriever is one component, generator is one component, and knowledge source is one. So application, lot of applications. Okay, so chatbots are a very common one. Okay, so we can imagine, like as I said earlier, like for any kind of business we can implement RAG. Okay, suppose if you want to improve your business processes with the help of AI, especially RAG applications and agents, we can have a discussion. Okay, and as I said, similar to this AI teaching, I can do that AI consultancy or AI development also hourly basis, pre-booked. As I said, even you can book just 1 hour alone. Okay, that's okay. Lot of applications are there, React. And advantages, obviously, it will allow the real-time usage, right? So latest information can be managed, and private information, and it can reduce the hallucination. Basically, it's combining the powers of both the retrieval and the generation, right? Generation in the sense LLMs, right? In case of limitations of RAG, obviously the quality of the RAG entire pipeline depends on the knowledge source, right? Even if the knowledge source is not having any relevant information about the question, still it's not useful, right? And computationally expensive. Obviously, it involves a lot of additional steps, like splitting the document, and like converting that into like embedding is the embedding model, and then using the vector search to store it. And again, whenever we get the user query, we have to convert into the embedding, and then we have to do the vector search. In some cases, we have to use the re-ranker, and we have to use the system prompts to augment the prompt by including the query and the retrieved context information. And then we have to get a thing, right? But this is basic thing. Here also, it involves a lot of steps, and it is computationally expensive. Basically, token usage, right? We have to pay for LLM usage, obviously, and for embedding model also we need to pay. If you are using managed vector databases, you have to pay for that also. Okay, okay, this is the thing. So maybe we can see some simple demo. Like, let me know how many people are there. If okay, only one person is there. Okay, okay. So I'm not getting anything, any question. So let me. Okay. Here I will show one demo. That demo will use LangChain library. Okay, LangChain library is more best suitable for handling these kinds of RAG projects. Okay, So here, this rag.py, I put that demo. And for that, this is a knowledge source. PDFs, I put two PDF files. Okay. Okay. So this is the rag file, rag Python file. Okay. So this is very simple thing, but normally in real thing, it has to be split into ingestion.py and chatbot.py like that, right? So here I just put everything in the rag.py. Okay. So it's not a good approach in the production, but just for the demo purpose, I'm just putting everything in a single file. Because if you run the file, whenever you run the file that time, it will start creating the embeddings, right? So it's unnecessary usage of not only unnecessary usage, it will be like increasing the time, right? Latency will be increased. So it's not a good approach. Just for, as I said, demo. So here we are using this lang chain. So this demo is purely based on some old libraries. So it may not be exactly same in the new things. Suppose if you want to run that, here the recommend text will be like this. Okay. So that versions are very older versions. Okay. But just to get the overall idea of RAG, it's enough. Okay. So let me check any question is there. The actual purpose of this live session is to answer the questions from the viewers. That's the main purpose. Otherwise, I can just upload the video, right? I already did that. I'm just expecting more questions from the viewers. Okay. So here, LangChain text splitter is to split the documents. Okay, and this is for handling PDF file, and the Hugging Face embeddings is for doing the embedding, and the Fires is for vector database, and this is LLM, chat Google generative AI. This is RAG chain. Okay, and this is for prompt template. So first we are importing the record libraries from LangChain package, and this is that PDF file folder. We specify this folder. So first step is load PDF files from a directory. Okay, we are retrieving the content and converting the document into chunks. Okay, we are splitting using this character splitter. Here I just use the very simple strategy: chunk size and chunk overlap. So obviously, chunk overlap is to avoid the breaking up sentences at irrelevant, unexpected way, right? So in that case, it will be losing that context, right? To give the context, it is better to include some overlap, and then we do the embeddings. Okay, so that the running of the code will take more time. So while at the time explaining, let us just run the code. So if you have any questions, you can ask me through the chat. I'm loading the virtual environment. Okay. Okay. So here that PDF files are available within the PDFs folder. So here, as I said, two files are there. Okay. So now we got to use the Gemini, right? So the Gemini API key I put in keys.catch. Okay. Now we can run the code. Okay. It will take significant time. Okay. So it will be using this document and another document. We can ask some questions about that. We can ask any phone number, like any private information related to this document. Okay. So we can wait. Still, it will take a few minutes. Okay. So in the meantime, we can discuss about these steps, right? The first step is loading PDF files from directory and converting the documents into chunks. And next is creating embeddings and store in vector database. Here we are using Hugging Face embeddings, right? This embedding model, all mini LM L6 V2. So this LLM, we are defining the LLM. We are using Gemini 2.5 Flashlight. Okay, this API key, as I said, I already exported to the environment, reading it from the environment. Okay, and we are setting the retriever. And this is the prompt template. Okay, so here we provide the context and the input and the system prompt so that we can ask LLM to use this context information to give answer for this question, right? So, and this is for creating the rack chain. But it's, as I said, it's a old way in the new LangChain libraries. LCL is famous, right? LangChain expression language. So even you can use the pipe symbol to arrange that pipeline. So this one is like a symbol while loop, infinite while loop to give this chatbot kind of feel. Okay, so here we are getting the input from the user and assign that into the query, and we are sending that query for while invoking the rack chain. So that will be considered as input, and in this prompt template, the input is given as question to the prompt. Okay, and the context will be received from that rack chain. Okay, that's it. And after that, running that or invoking the track chain, we are getting the response and printing that response. That's it. Okay, it's a very simple while loop for running the chatbot. It's terminal based. If you want to actually use it, you have to convert it into Steamlit application, right? Somewhere. So still this is running. So we can just go through the code again. And in the meantime, I will check whether any question is there. So as of now, no questions. Okay. So this is a simple thing. As I said, we have to load the PDF. I mean, here it's a knowledge source, right? So the knowledge source and convert that like split that documents into multiple chunks. For that, we can use this LangChain class. Okay, and then we have to create embeddings for each chunk and store it in the vector database files. The transformer, this transformer, all many LM L6V2 is getting used. Here we define the LLM. Okay, but as I said, here the steps we just mentioned the steps, but you cannot troubleshoot systematically here, right? If you notice the code, we just create the components and we just in the rack chain we specify the components. Okay, we cannot expect step by step process because it's a lang chain library, right? Internally it will take care. Okay, so suppose if you want to know the complete flow and if you want to do proper troubleshooting, in that case you may create a code, plain Python code without using LangChain. That also possible, but it will be recurring in many numbers of coding. Maintenance may be a bit difficult. Okay, but in the case of this kind of approach, the troubleshooting and all bit difficult. So for that, we got to use Langsmith, that kind of logging services. Okay, so still it is running. Let us wait. So still it's going on. So now we can just discuss this again. We are importing the record libraries. Okay, the LangChain libraries and importing the classes and reading the content from PDFs that folder and splitting the documents into multiple chunks using character text splitter. And then with the help of Hugging Face embeddings, we are uh, like doing the embeddings. But as I said, we won't do step by step. We will just create the components and specify that in the RAG chain. Okay, and FIS is the vector database provided by Meta, and here we are defining the LLM. Okay, and for that we are using this API key that I already exported to the environment. Okay. So here, whatever we discussed earlier in the theoretical form, here we are implementing the coding, right? So we just, as I said, we need a embedding model, we need vector database, and we need that prompt template for augmenting the prompt, right? So so we created the components, but the rack chain will be taking care of all that actual process. Okay. So here it's asking another question, right? That embedding everything is completed. We can now ask any question. Say, for example, if you are asking what is the phone number of GYN oncology, it will be telling this answer. It should tell. So it's giving that answer, right? Ending number 3518. So 3518. Okay. But doing proper testing is very important. Okay, that's not that much easy. Okay, here just because it's giving an answer, it doesn't mean that it's working properly. Even if the chunking is failing, if all the documents pages are sent as one piece, even if that one piece is retrieved, then obviously it will be working, right? LLM will be able to do that, but we cannot scale it if something is failing, right? We cannot use millions of pages, so we have to do careful testing, and every step we got to do the proper troubleshooting, and especially we got to do the proper evaluation. Okay, RAG evaluation. RAG evaluation is very important topic. I already talked about in my previous blog post. Maybe I will close these things, and maybe we can talk about RAG evaluation, because that is very important topic. Okay, so even I can close this, right? These things already I discussed. Okay, if anyone is joined newly, maybe you can watch my video again. I'll be keeping the recorder live. Okay, so you can watch it at any time. Okay, here if you even if you want to know about RAG related blog post, you can just search RAG. You can find a lot of RAG related blog posts on my blog. As I said, you can come to my blog by searching for QPT blog on uh, Google, and then click this link, and then you can check that. If you search for RAG, it will be showing all the RAG related blog posts. Okay, okay, you can quit that although exit. Okay. But the fundamental idea, I hope I made it clear from theoretical perspective as well as simple demo. But as I said, it's a very simple demo, and the real applications will be different. We have to keep the ingestion process separately, and I don't know whether live is going on or not. Everything is very slow. Okay, okay, so people are watching. Okay, this notebook LM. Suppose if you are missing to note this, just note this notebooklm.google.com. It's a good example for RAG. Okay, you can use it extensively for your personal usage. So here we were discussing about various RAG techniques, right? Okay, so I will close that also. And here I discussed about my books, especially my RAG related books. A lot of RAG related books. As of now, three books are there in Amazon. One is RAG Made Simple for beginner, and another one is completing about Retrieval-Augmented Generation RAG. That is one book, and RAG FAQ. Okay, so just you can go through that, and as I said, go to Amazon and search my name Rajamanikam Anthony Muthu. Okay, so you can get my books. Okay, And moreover, my suggestion is, okay, you can get something from book, but if you have any specific questions, or if you want to learn the things quickly, or if you need some clarifications, you can book my timing. Okay, like even you can book just 1 hour, very very affordable price only. Okay, you can contact me by sending an email or sending message, WhatsApp message. Okay, so maybe that I already explained. Suppose if you haven't watched, you can go back to this video and watch that details. Okay, so now we are going to discuss about RAG evolution, right? Maybe you can evaluation. That is very very important, not only from testing perspective, even from development perspective. Like we cannot do any kind of calculations or any kind of proper design for coming up with the proper pipeline. So it involves a lot of trial and error. So understanding RAG evaluation is very important, evaluation metrics. There are many things. One is we have to know about RAG evaluation metrics and how to measure that, and understanding RAG metrics, and then interpretation, right? So what we have to do to improve the RAG pipeline to get a better metrics, right? So that kind of knowledge is very much important. Okay, and maybe we can discuss those things here. In this blog post I listed these metrics, right? So these are fundamental metrics, but a lot of libraries are there. They can do the automatic calculation of metrics. Okay, there are different approaches. Okay, the approach is ground truth based things, and some libraries will be doing climb number of climb based metrics calculations. Okay, but fundamentally we can understand that it has two components, right? One is retriever, another is generation. And in that case, obviously we have retrieval related metrics and the generation related metrics, and it has to work together, right? So end to end, that kind of metrics. Okay, so from business perspective, they may not worry about how the retriever is working, how the generator is working, right? So their purpose is, if someone is asking question, they have to get the relevant answer. So it's a end-to-end metric. So they will be worrying about that things. So that also important. But from development perspective, just from end-to-end perspective, you cannot get much information. But if you deeply analyze the retrieval metrics, you can take steps to improve the retriever, right? So retriever is the fundamental component of the rack setup, rack pipeline. So if the retriever is working properly with good metrics, obviously we can expect good overall performance. Okay. So in that perspective, that is okay. But for business perspective, they may be interested in end-to-end metrics like faithfulness and the correctness, that kind of information. Okay. Uh, Here we can, as I said, we can talk more about retrieval metrics, which is very important. And generation metrics, obviously, while releasing the LLM itself, they will be telling about their quality, right? Blue, Rogue, Meteor, that kind of scores. So we need not take much efforts to know that. Okay, maybe that going through their specification about that metrics, that may be helpful to choose appropriate LLM. That is one thing. But other than that, dynamically, we cannot do much things there. But in case of retrieval, it's a very important thing. So we have to measure the retrieval metrics properly, and we have to understand that properly. And based on the understanding, we can either change the chunking strategy, or we can change the number of K, or embedding model, or vector store. Okay, so that we can get good metrics related to retrieval metrics. Okay, so recall at K, precision at K, mean reciprocal rank, NDCG. These are the important retrieval metrics. And among that, precision and recall, precision at K, recall at K, they are so much important. And they are independent of the ranks. Okay, so I like different applications will be in a different way, right? Sometimes we may need to get some summary of information, right? So in that case, we don't need to give any priority for any specific chunk. So we'll be retrieving three chunks, and we'll be sending that three chunks to the LLM to get the answer, right? So LLM will be treating all the chunks equally, right? But in some cases, we may need to get the chunks highly relevant chunks at the first position, and next relevant ones next, like that, right? Maybe recommendation systems, that kind of things. that kind of information will be important, right? So in that case, the other metrics like NDCG, MRR can take place. So here, let us first discuss about recall at K. It's a very, very important one. This is the fundamental measure of that performance of any retrieval system. Okay, so as I said, if we need a good rack system, end-to-end performance, if you are expecting good end-to-end performance, obviously a retrieval should be good. In that case, retrieval is, as I said, we are going to take the relevant documents, right? So one thing is we are setting k value. So like say, suppose if the k is 5, we will be retrieving 5. So the question is, out of 5, how many are relevant, right? So if the that is one question, and another question is, you have the documents. In the documents, you are having a certain number of relevant things, right? So out of that relevancy, how many were taken in that retrieved items, right? So these are the common things. So here, if you consider the original document, knowledge source document, and if you count the number of actual relevant things, and then you are counting the retrieved relevant things. So based on that, we can calculate recall. Okay. So if total thing is 10 and you retrieve 5, then obviously 50 percentage, right? So that's what recall, and it will vary based on the k. If we reduce the k, recall may be poor. If we increase the k, recall may be good, right? So we have to measure the recall at each k value. Okay, that is one thing. So recall is not just recall at k, because it will vary based on the k, right? So we have to measure recall for various k values, and then we can decide about choosing the k also. Suppose you keep on increasing the k, but recall is not improving. Why we need to unnecessarily get more retrieval? So in that case, suppose if your recall value is same at the k 3, and if k, even if the k is 20, then even better you can set it in the 3, right? So that's the reason why we have to consider recall at k. Okay, but it is about all about like total relevant chunks in the document and the retrieved chunks. So if the total, as I said, if the total number of chunks is 10 and you are retrieving only 5, then in that case, that um, uh, relevancy is, or that recall is 50 percentage, right? Here, like if you, as I said, if you increase the k, it will yeah, there is a possibility of getting better recall value, right? But unnecessarily we will be sending like irrelevant noise information. It will increase the token usage. It may confuse the LLM, right? Lot of such things are. That is where the precision, that matrix is coming into the picture. That will count the total number of retrieved things. Suppose if k is 10, then the total is 10. And if you are retrieving 5 relevant things, again here also 50 percentage, right? So it is with reference to the retrieved things. We are not going to bother or count about how many actual relevant chunks are there in the document. Okay, it's all about how much we retrieved and how many of them are relevant. That's it. It's a very simple calculation. But comparatively, recall is very important feature. Okay, but precision, it will help us to avoid the noise. Okay, and moreover, it will help us to tweak the k value by combining both recall. But suppose if precision is poor, we can just try to reduce the k value, right? So so that's what we have to understand the definition of that matrix, and we need to know the real meaning, right? That's important. Like you have to interpret the matrix, and based on that, you have to take action, whether you have to increase the k value or decrease the k value, or handling the chunking. So a lot of things we can take based on that values. Okay, so we have to do the proper testing, and we need to um, interpret that meaning properly. Okay, and the mean reciprocal MRR is also good, but it's from the perspective of like a rank. Okay, so where the first relevant, highly relevant is appearing, whether it is in the first result or second or third, like that. If it is appearing first, then it's 100% correct, right? So one by one. If it is second means one by two, 50 percentage, right? So that means where it is there, it's just a reciprocal of if it is there in the first, then one by one. It's second one by two, it's third one by three, like that. Reciprocal of that, it's rank. That's mean reciprocal rank. That's the name. Name itself clearly mentioned, right? But it will consider only the first relevant document. Suppose if you want to consider all the relevancy, like first is very important things should be coming first, and the next one somewhat relevant, like that means if it has to give the weightage to all the positions, then NDCG is the good thing. Okay, so we can use, as I said, we can come up with different approaches for measuring the metrics. Okay, one standard metrics is we have to prepare the ground truth and then uh, like uh, uh, calculate that values. I already prepared with some samples. Okay, here evaluation. So maybe we can discuss these things so for the people who are interested in learning that. Okay. So as I said, if you want to learn any specific topic, especially RAG, or if you want to discuss any detailed things about RAG, just book my time here, paid on coaching, right? So just search for QPT blog and then click that link, blog link, and come to this blog and then click this one-on-one AI coaching, that link. There you can find all the details. Okay. So just book my time, and if you need to get more details, maybe we can have a 2 3 minutes of quick Google Meet to sort out the things. Okay. So any other questions? So no other questions. So I'll be just stopping here. So I'm not seeing any question here. Okay, so in that meantime, just we can wait for some time for the questions. Okay, that's the purpose of these live discussions, right? So in the meantime, I will just tell about my blog post. So as I said, just search QPT blog, come to this blog. You can get a lot of AI-related blog posts. Recently, I added hundreds of AI-related blog posts. Okay, you can search here to get some information. I will suppose if you want vector database, search vector database RAG, search RAG. Sometimes if you search RAG, initially it will be just showing 2 3 results, but you have to click this next button. Okay, next post. Okay, so if you click next post, you can get a lot of other posts. Okay, so I just it's a blog, right? So I keep on adding things based on my things. Sometimes I used to add tutorial videos. Sometimes some question is arising to me means I will just do more analysis and then I will add here. And here I will be telling about some free discount offers or something. If I'm running that, I'll be mentioning that in this. And suppose if you want to get it into your inbox, so better you can subscribe to my site rajamanikam.com. It's free only. Go to rajamanikam.com, or even if you use this free offer of this AI course, you will be enrolled into the newsletter. Otherwise, if that offer is ended, that time if you want to enroll, in that case, visit rajamanikam.com and here you can give your email ID and then subscribe. Okay, so you'll be getting updates in your inbox. Okay, and as I said, here you can read a lot of information and other things. And moreover, if you want to test your AI knowledge, for that I just created this. Visit qualitypointtech.com/quiz. There you can test. Maybe I will share that link through the chat. Okay. So here I added a lot of AI related quiz questions. Okay, no sound, right? So here a basics, prompt engineering, generative AI, Python, machine learning, deep learning, RAG, data science, LLM, AI agents. Okay, so you can just test your knowledge, click that topic, and then attend the MCQ type question answer. And if you want to learn AI, you can use this chatbot. Okay, so here you can ask anything about AI. Okay, so I hosted this application on Hugging Face Spaces. Okay, so if you want me to develop such applications for your websites or for your business, you can contact me. We can discuss about doing that. And moreover, here I just suppose if you are asking about RAG, okay, it will be just telling about the RAG. And if I give more details, then it will be recommending my RAG book also. Okay, so seamlessly it is recommending my book. Okay, so suppose if we need that kind of application or some of the application that is best suitable for business, we can develop. Okay, so and you can even freely host at Hugging Face Spaces. I use Gemini model here. Okay, it's not a RAG application. I just hard coded the logic there. But if you want to scale it, if you have a lot of books, a lot of information, we can set up a RAG pipeline also for that. Okay, so that we can explore about using that. Okay, so you can contact me for doing any kind of RAG applications, or if you need some guidance for completing your projects or learning RAG, or even if you need some information to learn Python or guidance for learning Python, SQL, or any kind of development things, you can contact me. And as I said, I keep on adding a lot of content and in this blog, and I'm converting as blog like books also. Say for example, in the Amazon, if you search my name, you can find 45 books here. 45 titles are there, right? That books are available in various formats like Kindle, paperback, audio book. You can find that a lot of books are related to artificial intelligence. Some of them are motivational related books, and some of them are like learning Python or that SQL, that kind of fundamental things. So just to explore all that things, and as I said, I use ChatGPT to come up with these books, but I do a lot of put a lot of efforts to come up with these things. Okay, I manually review all the content. I come up with different prompt ideas. Okay, so you need not do the same things again. Right? You can just read the book. Okay, to get that information. Okay, and moreover, if you want to earn money, say for example, I was telling about this AI course, right? If you come to rajamanikam.com and if you click this, AI course is there. Recorded self-taught AI course is there. Okay, but as specified initially in that video, time being I'm running free offer, but it won't be there for more days, right? So in that case, I'm just exploring about selling that. So for that, I'm offering 50% affiliate commission. Suppose if you are interested to earn significant money just by referring my AI course, it's a good opportunity. I am giving 50 percentage affiliate. Okay, affiliate commission. Okay, it's a good opportunity. If you are interested, read the details by clicking this link and 50% commission. Right, same thing. It's a search QPT blog. Come to my blog post and then click this link. Okay, and if you want to check my books, click my books. Okay, and here, as I said, you can find a lot of books. Some of the books are non-exclusive to Amazon. That books you can find in my website also. But some of the books are exclusive to Amazon. That means I have enrolled into KDP Select program. That means it will be free for Kindle Unlimited members. So if you are Kindle Unlimited KU member, I make use of this free opportunity. Okay. And as of now, most of the people are buying this book. Okay, so if you want to know how to use AI tools, especially ChatGPT, for learning English or any language, this book will be useful. And for digital marketing, this one will be useful. So mostly, I'm covering AI related topics, but mostly for different things, for YouTubers, for digital marketers, for healthcare professionals, like that. But my primary focus is about developers, like teaching RAG and entering questions about AI context engineering, that kind of stuff. Some of the other books also there, like for Snowflake, Power Apps, that kind of stuff. But that for that projects, sometimes back I work on that things. So based on that experience, I developed. but my primary focus will be on AI. Okay, I'll be keep on adding more content about AI to my blog post, and based on that experience, I will be releasing more AI related books in the coming days. Okay, I released three books about RAG, right? RAG FAQ, RAG Made Simple, and RAG. Three books were released, and they are available in the Amazon. But still, I can talk more about RAG, right? So I can explain about RAG evaluation separately, so that we can. Suppose that is a demand for that kind of stuff means I will be releasing that books by putting significant effort and time for doing that. Okay. Okay, any other questions? Okay, so I already talked about my free AA course, and I mentioned about my AA related books available at Amazon as well as at my website rajamanikan.com. And I talked about this calltopentech.com/quiz, right? Okay, and then obviously my offer for giving one-on-one AA coaching. Okay, so it's a good opportunity. I may not be doing it for a long time. As you know, if you go through my previous history, mostly I will be involving in doing development projects. Okay, I may not be spending time for doing individual teaching, but right now, since I want to be like be more familiar with AI, I need to discuss with many people. That is the reason why I'm putting a lot of efforts for even spending a lot of time for doing one-on-one AI coaching. So it's a good opportunity to learn the things very affordably. Okay, and only thing is, if you are booking your time, just make sure that you will be able to attend that session at that specific time. Okay, so any other questions? Okay, no other questions. So if you find my AI teaching useful, and if you feel that my free AI course, everything is useful for your friends, tell about that, or just to share this video with others. They will be finding that from this video, right? Okay, so we have gone through the slides about RAG, and we discussed RAG demo. We discussed about RAG evaluation, right? So I hope I provided some details about RAG, which will be useful for improving your career as well as implementing RAG for your business. And if you need my assistance for implementing any RAG or for working on RAG projects, you can book my hourly timing, right? So that information is available here. Okay, and any other questions, you can ask the questions in the chat of this video. Maybe even once after completing this live, it will be available as a recorded live. So I'll be going through all the comments, and I'll be like creating more videos based on the comments. Okay, if I am getting more questions, I'll be trying to answer that questions by adding more blog posts in the coming days. Okay, and if you need any other information, just contact me by sending an email. You can find my email by visiting my website rajamanikam.com. Okay, and then here you can see my email ID rajamanikam.a@gmail.com. Or very simple way is, as I specified earlier, just to search for my blog, QPT blog. Okay, and then if you search a QPT blog, it will show my blog, right? So there you can find my email ID. Not only email ID, if you need more contact details, you can click this contact. Okay, even you can join WhatsApp group. Here you can find the details. Or here on one-on-one coaching, that post I specified my email ID and my WhatsApp number. You can just contact me. Okay, and you can just check my previous learners review feedback. Okay, and even you can check yourself, like I already did around 2 hours of live, right? So you should be able to judge whether my way of teaching is useful. Okay, okay, thanks for watching. I'm just disconnecting. Thanks, bye.